every morning before you even get out of bed, you can check your stats on a sleep tracker like a smart ring, which is small and quiet, and this never asks you to charge it every single night, right? So here's the question: why would anyone still pay 3,399 ringgit for a screen on their wrist? Well, this is the Samsung Galaxy Watch Ultra 2, titanium build, rated to dive underwater, and has the highest peak brightness compared to any smartwatch right now. But does any of that matter when screenless trackers like the Whoop or the Fitbit Air already do the job? Well, in this video, I'll be comparing the Galaxy Watch Ultra 2 against the Oura Ring and the Whoop Band to help you make a purchase decision, so watch first and buy smart. Now let's start with the one part that you cannot miss, which is the screen. Now you get a 1.52-inch Super AMOLED display and it hits 5,000 nits of peak brightness. Now as mentioned, this is the brightest screen that you have ever seen on any smartwatch out right now. And just for context, the very first Watch Ultra is at 3,000 nits, which is also the same value as Apple's current Watch Ultra 3. So yes, Samsung is really going ultra with this screen. So outdoors, under direct sunlight, this display doesn't wash out at all. And that's exactly where a screenless tracker falls apart, because with a Ring or any other screenless tracker, you're trusting the data blindly, so there's no screen to check mid-workout. You can't even glance at your wrist to see your heart rate as well. You have to stop, pull out your phone, unlock it, and then open the app. Now with this Samsung Galaxy Watch Ultra 2 or any smartwatch, you can just look down. So for the display, that's a 5 out of 5 stars for me. Now since it's an Ultra, durability matters here, especially with the overall look. Now the display sits inside a 47mm titanium case, but now the watch has went on a diet because it's only 10.7mm thick, which is about 12% slimmer than before. Now to be honest, I did not think that anyone was complaining about the form factor to make it slimmer than before, because if they really wanted a slimmer build, they could always gotten the regular Galaxy Watch 9. Well, I guess now people can wear this for more formal functions or wedding perhaps, but please do not forget the wedding ang pao, yeah? So Samsung really built this watch to survive almost everything. It carries the IP69K rating. Now that letter K stands for quad, as in quad gila. Just joking. Well, this actually means that it can take a blast from high pressure and high temperature water jet. And it also holds a 10 ATM water resistant rating, which is good for pressure up to 100 meters. Now that is not the same as a certified dive depth, because Samsung's actual recommendation scuba limit sits at 40 meters. But here is the real headline, because this is the first Galaxy Watch ever to be certified under EN 13319, which is the standards for dive instruments. So if you're the kind of person who goes scuba diving over the weekend with a 9-to-5 job on the weekday, well, this watch can now track your descent, your depth, and your dive time. So did I test that out? Well, to be honest, I can't, since I cannot swim, so yeah. But with all of that being said, after 1 week of use, I've yet to see any scuffs or damage both on the screen and also on the watch case. So when it comes to durability, I would give this a 5 out of 5 stars as well. Now besides the screen mentioned earlier, here is where the Watch Ultra 2 really separates itself from every ring or strap out there, because it supports eSIM, which means that you can leave your phone at home and still take calls, reply to messages, and track a full run. Your Oura Ring cannot do that. Your Whoop Band can't even do that, because in case you did not know, that the Whoop Band doesn't even work without an internet connection. And not even the Fitbit Air or even the Amazfit Helio has a eSIM option. So yes, none of those fitness trackers have the proper connection to the outside world. So for a lot of you, that alone might be worth it when it comes to the price gap. So for standalone use, this is an easy 5 out of 5 stars. Now if you guys are finding this video helpful so far, do give this video a nice big thumbs up to tell the people running the YouTube algorithm that this video was good for you. And a subscription would be extra sweet too, so thank you. And thank you very much in advance, as we are going on the way towards 300,000 subscribers. So hopefully we'll be getting there soon. Thank you. Now, one pleasant surprise was Samsung's move towards the brand new chip, which is the Snapdragon Wear Elite, which is built on a 3nm process with 5 cores. Now, this replaces the older Exynos W1000 from the last Ultra, and you still get 2GB of RAM and 64GB of storage, and pair that with One UI 9 watch on top of Wear OS 7, you get one of the smoothest smartwatch experience out there. And yes, holding it against the Apple Watch Ultra Ultra 3 because people have always used that as the benchmark to compare when it comes to smartwatches, right? So yes, the day-to-day speed, the app switching, even scrolling through notifications were all smooth with no lag that I could catch at all. So Samsung has made a great choice with the chipset shift. Hence, for the performance, that's a 5 out of 5 star for me. No question. But here's the number that really matters to most of you, and I'm sure is for everyone, if I had to say. Because during the keynote, when Samsung said that they bumped the battery from 590 milliamps all the way to 800 milliamps, I was like, oh, interesting. That's a 35% jump. But in a real world use, I was getting a solid 2 days. Now, that is with me working out every single day, wearing this to sleep, and with the continuous heart rate monitoring turned on. Now, yes, that is not as high as the likes of the Huawei or even the Xiaomi smartwatches out there. But my argument has always been the software experience, which works a lot like your smartphones do. So will the battery life on here beat the fitness trackers out there without a screen? Absolutely not, because it never will. But it's worth mentioning is that this is the first Galaxy watch with a proper fast charging built in, and just out of curiosity, I tried using last year's Galaxy Watch Classic to charge this, and it didn't fast charge. So the fast charging that you get for this particular watch, where the charging puck is in the box but not the charger, of course, but you can use a fast scan charger from Belkin to get at 85 minutes from 0 to 100%. So for battery, I would give this a 4 out of 5 stars. Now on paper, you get a full sensor suite, continuous heart rate, blood oxygen and ECG sensor, together with blood pressure monitoring, which you can actually calibrate with an actual blood pressure monitor too, plus the usual barometer, altimeter and compass for the outdoor people. But what I've done is that I did a direct comparison between my sleep scores first with the Oura Ring 4 and the Whoop Band 5.0. So let's start with the headline score. Samsung gave it a 64, which is fair. Oura gave it 71, which was good. And Whoop landed at 76% when it comes to the sleep performance. Now, this was all at the same night, but a 12-point spread depending on which wrist or item that you trust. But here's where it actually gets things a little different, because Samsung says that I actually slept for 5 hours and 10 minutes, and Oura says that I slept for 6 hours and 80 minutes, and Whoop says 6 hours and 20 minutes. So Oura and Whoop basically agree to each other, but Samsung is over an hour short of both of them. Now, interestingly, Samsung and Whoop actually agree when exactly I fell asleep. Both say at 12:16 a.m. to the exact minute. But where they disagree is when I woke up, because the Whoop keep tracking all the way till 8:09 a.m. but Samsung stopped at 6:36 a.m. and here is the actual truth. Because I'm scripting this exact part based on what I remember. At around 6:30 a.m. when my 9-month son woke up crying, that was the exact time when I glanced to my watch to check the exact time, and then I remember putting his pacifier back to his mouth and pat him to sleep. And I did go back to sleep, but I wasn't fully asleep because my boy kept crying and that was happening off and on. So it seems like Samsung knew, alright Adam, you're already awake. And even though I sleep after this, it wouldn't be counted. While others only stopped the moment I got out of bed. So that's the real story, so you can draw your own conclusion on which you trust more. But when it comes to sleep stages though, the raw minutes are actually pretty close across all three devices. Deep sleep, Samsung says 69 minutes, Oura says 82, Whoop calls this the SWS, which says 75. REM sleep, Samsung says 101 minutes, Whoop says 105, but Oura is the total outlier here at just 67. But here's a catch, before you go and compare the percentage that you actually see on the screen, Samsung shows 18% deep sleep, Oura shows 21%, and Whoop shows 15%. Then of course there is the HRV. On the Whoop it tracked 26, on the Oura Ring it was 30, and the Galaxy Watch Ultra 2 was 39. So the differences here is quite a lot. But heart rate is where the numbers actually line up nicely. Samsung says the average sleeping heart rate was at 65 BPM, Oura says 65 exactly, plus a low of 55. Blood oxygen level, the same story. Samsung says 96% average, Oura says 97, which is barely a percentage apart. But sleep depth is close but not quite, because Oura says 1 hour 20 minutes, Whoop says 1 hour 7 minutes, and Samsung doesn't track this at all. But besides the whole disagreement on the overall sleep time, efficiency is where everyone actually agrees again, because Oura says 79%, Whoop says 81%, and doing the math on Samsung's own numbers myself, that works out to about 81.6% too. And then when it it comes to weight training, since the Oura ring isn't really meant for weight training, let's compare with the Whoop instead. Now firstly, I do appreciate that Whoop mentions the exact strain level, which is at 11.6, where Samsung's health app just shows the overall stats. So let's actually line the numbers up. Whoop says that I burned 270 calories and Samsung says 442. So that is 172 calories apart on the same exact workout. Now yes, Samsung tracked a few more minutes, so of course the total climbs, but even per minute, Samsung is still coming about 25% higher. And honestly, I believe what Samsung's numbers are, because it really felt like a 442 calorie workout as I was going hard and heavy on the weight training. Then the average heart rate, the two mostly agree on. The Whoop says 126 and Samsung says about 122, so that is about 4 beats apart, so that's close enough. But the max heart rate is where it gets interesting, because Whoop caught a peak of 164, Samsung only caught about 156. So that's 8 beats, which is a real gap when it comes to max reading. Now the only time that I would normally see my heart rate spikes above 160 BPM is during heavy cardio sessions, but this was purely on weights. So once again, I'm leaning towards Samsung's numbers over here. But here's the part worth knowing if you own both, because the zones aren't built the same way at all. Now Whoop Zone 1 covers between 117 to 141 BPM and Samsung splits that exact range across 2 of its own zone. So comparing the zone percentage between the two, don't bother. Which brings us back to what I said earlier. Whoop hands you the one strain score and even splits it out to let you know that it is 39% cardio and 61% muscular, where Samsung gives you the raw numbers and leaves the interpretation to you. And finally, I tracked the automatic workout detection, and while Samsung still doesn't have a pickleball mode on the workout app, bro, it's 2026. Please. But the good news is that it did detect it as a racquetball sports. However, what's interesting is that while the Whoop did detect the pickleball workout, but it kept showing that I stopped and start throughout the whole entire 2.5 hours or so. So yes, that's the overall workout detection test between the Whoop Band and also the Samsung Galaxy Watch Ultra 2, which does seem, again, that the Watch Ultra 2 was better. So yes, specs on the page does not tell you anything useful, because what matters more is whether the numbers actually hold up against what a device can actually do. So when it comes to the sensors and accuracy, I would say 4 out of 5 star when it comes to rating that. So if you watch reviews of the Whoop Band, the number one thing that people always say is good is the app experience on the Whoop. Being able to glance to see your sleep, recovery and strain. However, the Samsung Health app is one of the better designed fitness apps out there, full stop. So first there's the energy score on the Samsung Health app, which works very similar to Whoop's recovery score and Oura Ring's readiness, but not like Garmin's body battery, because how Garmin's body battery works is that while you wake up with a high score, as the day progresses, like say you have a cardio done or any sort of workout, that number decreases. So Whoop and Oura does not have that, which sucks to know, because it's nice to quickly look at your body's battery life, right? To know if you can go for another 2 hours of pickleball, like Abang Vernon, non-stop. However, Samsung has a separate metric which is called daily cardio load. So for days that you do not really exert yourself, it will tell you you're under, optimal or even over, which to me that was really nice, because it tells you if you should go for another workout or sit your butt on a sofa and take a break. But Samsung's sleep coaching is something that I really appreciated too, because the program is built to actually improve your sleep habits, not just tracking them. And my sleep animal is a penguin, which does sound like my character of always being alert and watchful when I am always asleep. But there's plenty more in the app as well, like the daily activity, food tracking, mindfulness, heart health score, cycle tracking for my female friends out there, your hearing, step count and the vital section. And there's also the antioxidant index by measuring your thumb underneath the watch, blood pressure and of course the overall heart rate measurements throughout the day too. So if an extensive app is what you need, then the Samsung Health app is the best that you can get out there, and yes, even beating the Apple Watch Health app. So when it comes to the app experience, that's another 5 out of 5 star for me. Easy. Now there are also several features that are brand new to this particular generation, and none of them feels like a filler. First and foremost, there is the trial run mode that gives runners live elevation and climb guidance for every segment of a route. Not a runner here, so honestly I didn't test it out, so you can ask Emmanuel. Probably he will give you some videos on that. Then there's also the nutrition alert, which was a very cool feature to track your sweat loss and to tell you exactly when you need to hydrate, which is perfect for people who do not know when to drink water or just not hydrate enough. Well, that was not so much applicable for me since I religiously take at least 3.5 liters water every single day. Then there's also other diving features mentioned earlier, like a dedicated depth app kicks in automatically underwater for tracking your depth, water temperature, and how long you've been down there. Now, those weren't tested out either because I cannot swim. Yes, I know you don't need to know how to swim to dive, but I just do not like the idea of being in the water without having the ability to float. So leave me alone, okay? Now, if you want a written version of this video, we do have one at our website at www.adamlobo.tv. Links to the website will be down below, where we also have some daily tech tips and daily tech news over there too. So let's come back to the question that I asked earlier. Does the Samsung Galaxy Watch Ultra 2 make sense when your Oura ring already does most of this quietly on your finger, and so do plenty of the other fitness trackers on your wrist? Well, honestly, it depends on what you actually need. If all you want is recovery data, sleep tracking, then a ring wins on comfort and battery life. And the same could be said with something like the Whoop Band or even the Fitbit Air. But the Galaxy Watch Ultra 2 is not trying to be a ring. It's trying to be a phone replacement, a future dive computer, a running coach, and a health tracker, and an all-in-one device on your wrist. Now, at 3,399 ringgit, it undercuts Apple's Watch Ultra 3, which sits closer to 4,199 ringgit here in Malaysia, and there's no annoying subscription plans like the Oura and also the Whoop. But who cares what I think? What matters more is what you think. So let me know which fitness tracker that you prefer in the comment section below.